Hello, good day everyone. I am Reina Galgo, and today I'm going to discuss a comparative analysis since we have already discussed what language planning and policy is and why it is very important. I will now present the comparative analysis of the language, profile, and social linguistic context of the four Southeast Asian countries we have chosen, which are the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. So now let us begin with our table 1. So here, so this table compares the four countries based on their official language, national language, major languages, linguistic diversity, and of course historical diversity, historical influences rather. So now let us first look at the official and national languages. So of course, in our country or the Philippines, the official language are, we all know that it is Filipino and English, while Filipino is the national language of our country. While in Malaysia, it is Bahasa Melayu or Malay, serves as the both official and the national language in their country. Meanwhile, in Singapore, um, there are four official languages rather. Um, it includes English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. However, um, Malay Malay is only recognized as a national language in their country, while English is mainly used in schools, government offices, and also in businesses and etc. And lastly is Thailand. In their country, it does not really officially declared, or their government did not declare their official language, or the Thailand does not officially declare a language on its constitution. However, the Central Thai is used as the de facto official and national language national language in their country. So meaning it only functions as the country's main language or practice in their country. So of course, it's basic that the Central Thai is what they use to practice. So that is why their country just says that it is the de facto official and national language in their country or in Thailand, because it does not really declare their official language according to the research. So now, um, let us compare their major local languages rather. So of course, in our country, we all know that our country has many regional languages, such as in Cebu, Cebuano, Ilocano, um, Hiligaynon, Waray, Kapampangan, Bicol, Tausog, many Maguindanao, Maranao, and any other regional languages from other regions. And what meanwhile in Malaysia, it also has many languages, because of course Malaysia is a multicultural population, including Mandarin, Tamil, Iban, Kadazan Dusun, and different Chinese dialects. Meanwhile, in Singapore, the major languages are English, Mandarin, Malay, and Tamil, which are also reflects its ethnic um, di- ethnic diversity in their country. Meanwhile, lastly, again in Thailand, also has um, regional languages such as Isan, Northern Thai, Southern Thai, Patani Malay, Karen, and Northern Khmer. And now, so those are the major local languages in those four countries: the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Now let us look at the linguistic diversity of these four countries. So, of course, among the four countries, again, we all know that the Philippines has the highest linguistic diversity I with about 138 living languages. Imagine we have 138 living languages in our country. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, Malaysia comes next with around 137 living languages. So they are close enough, right? So both countries are highly multilingual because they have many indigenous and ethnic communities with that. So on the other hand, Singapore and Thailand have moderate linguistic diversity because Singapore is again multilingual, but its language use is carefully managed through the government policies. Meanwhile, in Thailand, Central Thai is really dominant because um, although rather minority languages are still spoken in different regions or at different places in Thailand. And next, so those are the linguistic diversity on the four countries. So now let us examine the historical influences of this. So of course, um, again, history played a very important role in shaping a country's language, shaping each country's language policies. So again, in our country, the Philippines, the of influence of Spanish and American colonization explains why Filipino and English are widely used today rather because of that Spanish and American colonization. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, the Malay Kingdom, British colonization, and immigration from different ethnic groups contributed to its multilingual society in the country now. Multilingual society, yes. Meanwhile, they are closely or similar enough with the Singapore's British colonial history rather, and multicultural population led to the use of English as the common language while still recognizing other ethnic languages. So in contrast with that, of course, the Thailand was again um, never colonized, or the fact that the their country Thailand was never colonized. So again, their central tribe was able to preserve the language. They were able to preserve the Thai language rather, and make it again that a strong symbol of its national identity. So imagine, among those four countries, only Thailand was never colonized because our country, Philippines, was colonized by and Spanish and American colonization. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, the Malay Kingdom and British colonization, and in Singapore is the Singapore's British colonial history. So, see, you can really see that among those four countries, the Thailand was again um, they were a- they were able to maintain their language, the Thai language or Central Thai language up until now. So as we all see those differences among the four Southeast Asian country. So to discuss all of this, um, based on this comparison, we can see that although these four countries are all located in Southeast Asia rather. Of course, we or they have really different ways of managing their languages. Kasi in the Philippines and Malaysia, they have the greatest linguistic diversity, right? Because many languages are spoken. The the both countries promote a national language while still allowing local and indigenous languages to use every day in everyday life. They use it in everyday life or in every situation in their life. Kasi in Philippines, Filipino is our national language, while Filipino and English are both the official language in our country because as we all know that Filipino comes formerly Tagalog, now Filipino kasi yan ang ating national language. And English are now the official language kasi it is used to communicate with others. Um, of course, we can, English is used to communicate others in other country or in any businesses that you can communicate with others kasi English is a universal language. So, that is why considered the official language in our country. In Malaysia, Bahasa Melayu is both the national and official language, but again, Mandarin, Tamil, and indigenous languages continues to be widely spoken in their country. So, on the other hand, Singapore and Thailand use different approaches kasi Singapore's officially recognizes four languages. So it making it the country with the most official languages among the four, the Philippines, um, Malaysia, Thailand. Yes. So even though Malay is the national language, English serves as the main language in education, government, and business because it allows people from different ethnic groups to communicate more easily, just like in our country, the Philippines, kasi English is used in education, government, and businesses to communicate with others. Yes. Meanwhile, in um, Thailand only focuses on one common language, which is katong Central Thai or the national language. But again, wala siya na specific o declare in the country. Although many minority languages exist, they receive less government support compared to the Central Thai or Thai. So another important point is that history influenced these language policies rather. So the Philippines was again colonized by Spanish and United States, so English remained an important language in our country. Malaysia and Singapore were both under British rule, so which explains that why English is still used up until today. And in Thailand, unlike the other three countries, Philippines, Singapore, and Malaysia, Thailand was again never colonized and allowing it to preserve their Central Thai or preserve their Thai as the country's dominant language. So, again, to conclude this, overall, the comparison shows that the language planning is influenced by a country's country's history, linguistic diversity, and national goals. So while the Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore recognize and support multiple languages communities, Thailand only Thailand mainly promotes one national language to strengthen unity, which is katong Central Thai or Thai language. So again, makasita o differences, right? So despite the differences, the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand use language planning and policy to improve communication, strengthen education, and promote national identity, and of course, to up until today. Because, again, language is our identity. So, yeah. So, I hope that I have discussed my part to discuss the what are the I comparison with the four countries based on their official languages, the national language, major languages, linguistic diversity, and its historical influences. So again, those are the comparison among the four countries that we have chose: the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, and
Good day, ma'am. I am Lobella F. Alcasid. So now that Ms. Galgo already discussed the language profile and the social linguistic context of the countries that we chose, which are the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, in her discussion, we can clearly see that each country has their own unique language landscape that is primarily shaped by their history as well as in their society. So based in her discussion, my presentation will focus more on how these countries manage their language through language planning and policy frameworks. So these policies serve as a guide for each country in order for them to know what specific languages ba or language should they use or implement in the education, in the government, in the other institution, or even in public, without neglecting the preservation of their own cultural identity within their country. So I will discuss first the key policies. So I will discuss the key policies of for each country, starting with the Philippines. So in the Philippines, there were three major policies that were considered or that were used in the language planning. First is we have the 1987 Constitution, which declares that Filipino is the national language of the country, and Filipino in English will serve as the two official languages of the country. So, because Philippines, marami siyang different languages from the other regions, this constitution also support the development of those regional languages. And the two official languages, which are the Filipino and English, you might be wondering, paano ba sila na-implement in the educational aspect? So, those two official languages in the Philippines were actually implemented through the help of the Department of Education. So, the Department of Education actually introduced the bilingual education policy. So, how does this bilingual education policy works? Because Philippines have two official languages, which are Filipino and English. Filipino language will be used in the subjects that are related to culture and social sciences. And yung English language naman will be used sa mga subject that is related to mathematics, science, and technology. So that's how the bilingual education policy works. So there is another major policy here in the Philippines, and that is the mother tongue based multilingual education, or the MTB-MLE, that is under the DepEd Order number 74 series of 2009. So paano ba ito na-implement? So this mother tongue based multilingual education, first, because yung implementation niya is abrupt, minadali, so may mga other considerations na hindi talaga na consider because minadali yung pag-implement. So because of that, yung MTB-MLE, instead na ma-introduce siya as the MOI or mode of instruction sa mga student, naging separate subject siya. And when we say separate subject kasi, may grades talaga. So the student should have a higher grade or an average grade in order for them to proceed sa another grade level. But may problem siya when it comes to separating it as a different subject, because here sa Philippines, there are other regional languages, as I've said. So yung madaming complaint yung nangyari from the students, sa parents, as well as sa teacher. Because yung mother tongue ng teacher, he or she is not that really expert sa mother tongue niya. Hindi ganun ka-expert yung mga teacher. So they have to study their own language pa, their first language. And how can they teach their children effectively when they are still learning their own first language pa? So that is the problem. Yun yung problem na nag-arise during sa implementation ng MTB-MLE. So because of that, may mga may naisip sila, how can we strengthen it, how can we improve it, or how can we improvise it. So because of that, the presence of the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013, or known as the Republic Act 10533, itong act na to is nagawa siya or na-implement siya to answer that, or to solve that problem during the implementation of the MTB MLE. So this policy, or the Republic Act 10533, gi-enhance na niya. So instead of introducing the MTB or the mother tongue as a separate subject, why not use it as the MOI na, or the mode of instruction? So in that way, student can learn effectively because they are actually allowed to use their first language in the classroom. So there is consideration then sa Enhanced Basic Education Act. This act will be introduced from kindergarten to grade 3 lang. So sa kindergarten to grade 3, all students are allowed to use their first language in learning a specific subject. So as the student progresses from grade 4, 5, 6, and so on, Filipino and English as the two official languages of the country will now be introduced gradually to the student. So that is how the policies under the Philippines. So now let's move on sa Malaysia. So ang Malaysia is their language planning, or their language policy is deeply connected with their constitution, and that is the Federal Constitution Article 152. So this constitution from the Malaysia, this is where it declares that Bahasa Melayu, or the Malaysian language, will now serve as the national language of the country. And this policy actually works because sa Malaysia, they actually want to promote their national unity. That's why yung Bahasa Melayu, or the Malaysian language, naging national language na siya sa Malaysia. And to further support the institution, since ang Bahasa Melayu is now the national language, now nag-reinforce yung Constitution, pati yung National Language Act of 1967. Itong National Language Act of 1967, it is where it standardized the use of Bahasa Melayu in different sectors na. It can be used in education, in government, in other institution, or even in the public. But trivia lang, even if allowed, or even if medyo centralized yung usage of Bahasa Melayu, or the Malaysian language sa Malaysia, the Malaysia country they still allowed the other people to use other languages. So in terms of sa education naman sa Malaysia, the Education Act of 1996, since yung Bahasa Melayu is the national language, and later on naging official language siya naging standardized yung use of language with the help of the National Language Act of 1967. Sa school-based naman, the Education Act of 1996, yung Bahasa Melayu is now used as the primary language of instruction. So naging MOI na siya in terms sa education sa Malaysia. So you might be wondering, ano ang role ng English sa Malaysia? So ang role ng English sa Malaysia, they see English as an important second language. As I've said, even if Bahasa Melayu yung national and official language nila, they are not that really strict naman to use other languages. That's the policy sa Malaysia. They see English as an important second language, especially in businesses, in the global demand, and so on. So now let's proceed to the Singapore. So sa Singapore, it uses different approach. Because sa Singapore, their constitution, which is the constitution on Article 153A, if you were going to read that article, it was explicitly stated there sa 153A na yung Singapore different approach niya because it recognizes 4 official languages, and that is the English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil. So, diba, very unique yung Singapore because from the Philippines, there are 2 official languages lang, which are Filipino and English. Then, sa Malaysia, there is 1 lang yung national and official language nila, and that is Bahasa Melayu, but they considered English naman, or they view English as an important second language. Whereas kasi sa Singapore, their constitution recognizes 4 official languages, English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil, because Singapore is known as a melting pot siya na country. Because so when we say melting pot, there, same sa Philippines and same here sa Davao, there are a lot of different dialects. So yung constitution nila is deeply guided din sa bilingual education policy nila that were introduced in 1966. So yung yung educational aspect naman ng Singapore, since they have 4 official languages, you might be wondering, kung apat yung official languages nila, how does it work in terms sa education? So sa education nila, they also have, same sa Philippines, they also have bilingual education policy. And how does this work in the lens of the Singaporean? So sa Singapore, they require students to learn English along with their designated mother tongue. So they can learn English while using their mother tongue. So iba yung approach niya because English yung mas centered nila when it comes to education. Because sa Singapore, English is actually seen as the working language. So even if they have 4 official languages, yung English talaga yung nakita nila, or they give an importance sa English na it is a working language. So in education, they should also introduce the importance of English. That's why sa education sa Singapore, they allow the students to learn English together with their mother tongue para mas better na ma-learn nila yung, in order for them to learn English much more, so they actually allow their student to designate it to their mother tongue in order for them to better understand and learn the English language. So again, that is the Singapore, that is the policies, or that is the how education works in Singapore when it comes to usage sa English. So lastly is we have the Thailand. So Thailand has a strong emphasis on promoting Thai as a language, as a national language. So based sa nabasa ko po, ma'am, I've read their constitution. Wala po talaga sa constitution nila na nag-explicitly state, like verbatimly, wala po talagang nakalagay na yung Thai yung official language nila or yung national language nila. But while I was reading their constitution, I can clearly say, or I can clearly feel na they really put more emphasis sa Thai nila, like yung language talaga nila, which is Thai. So it reflects then sa education nila, which is supported by the Basic Education Core Curriculum of Bilingual Education 2551 from 2008. So ang Basic Education Core Curriculum ng Thailand, it is where, so how it works, so it works as yung core subject ng mga estudyante is deeply using Thai language, because sa Thailand, they see English as a compulsory foreign language. So when we say compulsory, the student, they do not really like, it's not mandatory for the student to learn the language or to enroll the language, or the language that used English language, because they only see English as a compulsory foreign language. So sa education ng Thailand, yung mga core subjects nila uses Thai language talaga. So that is how the Thai language work in the education of Thailand. So now I will compare the 4 countries. So Philippines and Singapore both promote multilingualism, because as I've said, yung Philippines as Singapore, same sila na melting pot, because there are different regional languages, diverse languages from each country. However, yung kaibahan nila, Philippines uses trilingual approach. When we say trilingual approach, for example, me as a student, I'm learning English, I'm using Filipino, and I'm also using my mother tongue, which is Bisaya. So that is how the language work here sa Philippines, specifically here sa Davao, pertaining sa akin as a student. So Philippine uses trilingual approach, while yung Singapore naman emphasizes English plus 1 mother tongue. As I've said, since yung Singapore, even if it recognizes 4 official languages like yung English, Malay, Mandarin, and Tamil, as I've said, sa Singapore, they see English as a working language that can be used in businesses and other institutions or in education. That's why yun yung kaibahan ng Philippines at Singapore. Although they are the same, that they promote multilingualism, yung Philippines in terms of approach, Philippines use trilingual approach, Filipino, English, and their own mother tongue. And sa Singapore naman, they give more emphasis to English and plus 1 mother tongue of the student. And another is the Malaysia and the Thai. So yung Malaysia and Thailand, they focuses on one dominant national language lang. So as I've said earlier, sa Malaysia, their national and official language, is sa Malaysia, their official and national language is Bahasa Melayu or the Malaysian language. And sa Thai naman, kahit hindi siya verbatimly nakalagay sa constitution nila, but you can clearly see how committed they are sa language nila, because Thai work or serve as a de facto sa Thailand. So yung sa Thai naman, they see one dominant language lang yung dominant sa kanilang country, and that is Thai. And both countries promote national unity because they give more emphasis sa kanilang own language talaga. Pero yung kaibahan naman nila is that Malaysia accommodates minority languages through vernacular schools. So sa Malaysia naman, as I've said, even if Bahasa Melayu lang yung official language nila at national language, they are not that really strict, or they still allow other student to use English, because in Malaysia they see English as an important second language. That's why they accommodate the minority language through a vernacular school. Whereas kasi sa Thailand, na mas gi-follow nila yung more centralized language policy, that is Thai lang talaga, because they see English as a compulsory foreign language. So there are key differences in the role of English for each country. Sa Philippines, they see English as a co-official language, and the Singapore naman, they see English as a primary working language. And businesses, even if they have 4 official languages, but they see English as a primary working language in the Singapore. Sa Malaysia naman, they see English as an important second language, even if they give more emphasis on the Bahasa Melayu or the Malaysian language, but they are not neglecting the importance of the second language, and that is the English. Because as I've said, English can be used in businesses and other important aspects in the society. And lastly, in Thailand, they see English again as a compulsory foreign language. So that is the difference between the languages. That is how they plan the language, the policy framework that is used in their education. So in conclusion, if I were to relate it sa topics that were discussed sa subject po na to, yung Philippines, as I feel like Philippine is part of the weak bilingual program. Although Philippine uses 2 languages, which are Filipino and English, but they give more emphasis kasi, or they prioritizes English more here in the Philippines, because in the Philippines, English is seen as a co-official language. A lot of advantages as well as benefit student can get if they really learn how to use or how to speak the English language. Although kasi yung Filipino, yung MTB, MLE, may limitation kasi siya sa usage niya, because you are allowed to use your mother tongue in learning, but only in kindergarten and to grade 3. But as for me, for my own experience, I can clearly see that even if whatever program you have, BSed English, BSed Math, there's a strong emphasis pa din kasi sa use of English. There is constantly use sa English sa Philippines. That is the reason why I believe the education or the language of education in the Philippines is part of the weak bilingual program, because hindi na balance yung usage ng dalawang language. And yung Singapore naman, I feel like Singapore is part of a strong bilingual program, because as I've said, sa Singapore, it requires learners to learn English alongside with their mother tongue. So parang hindi napabayaan yung English as one of their official language, as well as the mother tongue of the students. So balance, because they can actually learn English while also learning their mother tongue in their education. So what makes the Singapore belong to the strong bilingual program. And yung Malaysia naman, as well as yung Thailand, both of them part din ng weak bilingual program, because in Malaysia, even if they recognize English as an important second language, but the mode of instruction, but the MOI that were used in Malaysia is primarily in Bahasa Melayu or the Malaysian language. And sa Thai naman, parang we can say na parang monolingualism na din siya, because they give more emphasis sa Thai language nila, because they only see English as a compulsory foreign language. So in their ang mga core subjects sa Thailand, most of the language that were used sa mga core subjects sa Thailand is primarily on Thai language. So that what makes both of them part of the weak bilingual education. So that is all. Thank you.
Hello, good day everyone. I am Althea Mariz Carreon, and in the previous discussion, as discussed by Ms. Alcasid, we have learned about the language planning and policy frameworks of the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. So we discussed their legal foundations, their government institutions, and national language policies that guide how languages are managed in each of those countries. Now, building on that discussion, I will now present the comparative analysis of their language and in education policies. So rather than discussing each country separately again, this section will be focusing on how these policies compare, what they have in common, where they differ, and what these differences reveal about each country's educational priorities. So let's begin with the table. So in this table, we will not be reading every cell, but I would like us to look at these three major aspects because our discussion will be revolving on them. So number one is the medium of instruction, the mother tongue and English policies, and then the bilingual or multilingual approaches of each of those countries. So firstly let's talk about the medium of instruction. Now, among of the four countries, one noticeable similarity is that all of them recognize English in their education system, but they assign it very different roles. So here in the Philippines, we are all aware that we both use Filipino and English as our official media of instruction, with our regional languages serving as auxiliary or supporting languages through the Mother Tongue-Based Multilingual Education or MTB-MLE. While in Malaysia they use Bahasa Melayu in national schools, while Mandarin and Tamil are used in vernacular schools, which can reflect their multicultural population. In Singapore, on the other hand, English serves as the primary medium of instruction for almost all subjects except their mother tongue language classes, where they will be using or teaching using the mother tongue, depending on the ancestry of the students. Meanwhile, in Thailand they primarily use Thai as the language of instruction in public schools. So looking at these four systems, you can already observe different educational priorities. So in Singapore they place English at the center of education to prepare the students for global communication. While in Malaysia they balances the national identity and cultural diversity through different school streams. And here in the Philippines we combine Filipino and English while also integrating the local languages, especially in the early education where there are mother tongue subjects. While in contrast Thailand prioritizes one common national language, which is Thai, to promote their national cohesion. Now, let's move on and compare their mother tongue and English policies, because this is where their differences become more evident. Here in the Philippines, we have implemented the mother tongue-based multilingual education, or the MTB-MLE, where our learners will be studying first using their local languages, for example, Bisaya, before gradually transitioning to Filipino and English. And although MTB-MLE has already been discontinued, English remains as an important instructional language, especially in subjects such as English, mathematics, and science. While in Malaysia, they also preserve their mother tongues, but through a different mechanism. So instead of using local languages only in the early grades like here in the Philippines, they maintain their vernacular schools where Mandarin or Tamil remains as the language of instruction, while English is taught as a compulsory subject and further strengthened through their DLP, or the Dual Language Program. Singapore naman they adopt another unique approach. So rather than choosing between English and the mother tongue, students are expected to master both. So English serves as the language of instruction, while every student studies one designated mother tongue language based on their ethnic background, as what I've mentioned before, depending on the student's ancestry or ethnicity. So this reflects the country's goal of developing globally competitive citizens without losing their cultural identity. And Thailand, on the other hand, does not implement a nationwide mother tongue policy. So Thai remains the dominant instructional language while English is primarily taught as a foreign language. Now, although all four countries include English in their education, they differ in how much space they give to mother tongue languages within the curriculum. Now, moving on to the last aspect, which is their bilingual or multilingual approach. Now, here in the Philippines, we follow a Filipino-English bilingual policy that was previously supported by multilingual education through MTB-MLE. And in Malaysia, we demonstrate multilingual education through its dual stream public school systems, allowing their students to study in Malay or Bahasa Melayu, Mandarin or Tamil, depending on the school that they attend. And in Singapore, they have the most structured bilingual policy among the four countries because every student is required to become proficient in English while also learning one official mother tongue language depending on their ethnic background. Because both languages are intentionally developed throughout schooling, researchers describe Singapore's system as maintenance bilingual education, which Baker, 2011, identifies as a strong form of bilingual education. Now, in Thailand, they differ from the other three because its education system remains predominantly Thai medium, with only limited bilingual programs available in selected communities. Now, when we compare these policies as a whole, several important patterns emerge. So firstly, as what I have noticed, all four countries recognize English, but for different purposes. So in Singapore, English is the primary instructional language, while in the Philippines, it functions alongside Filipino. And in Malaysia, it complements Bahasa Melayu as an important second language. Meanwhile, in Thailand, it is mainly taught as a foreign language. Now, secondly, is the countries differ in how they preserve their linguistic diversity. So in the Philippines, we formerly used local languages in early education, again in MTB-MLE. And then in Malaysia they preserve major community languages through different school systems or the DLP, the dual language. And then in Singapore they protect their officially recognized mother tongue languages while maintaining English as the common working language. And then in Thailand, they place greater emphasis on a single national language with relatively limited nationwide support for minority languages. So these differences reflect each country's history and national priorities. So the countries with greater linguistic diversity, such as Malaysia and Singapore, they have developed policies that balance multiple languages, while Thailand emphasizes national linguistic unity by using predominantly Thai as the medium of instruction. Here in the Philippines, we attempt to balance both national identity and multilingual education through our bilingual policy and the MTB-MLE program. So overall, there is no single best language and education policy. Instead, each country has designed its education system according to its own social, political, and linguistic context. So their policies demonstrate the different ways of balancing national identity, multilingualism, and of course, global competitiveness. So to summarize, although the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, they all recognize the importance of language in education, they differ in three major areas: their medium of instruction, their treatment of English and mother tongue languages, and their overall bilingual or multilingual approach. So these similarities and differences illustrate how language and education policies are shaped not only by educational goals, but also by each country's history, as mentioned by Ms. Galgo, culture, and their national priorities. However, we must remember that language policies are not static. So they continue to change as countries respond to the new educational challenges and societal needs. And with that, let us now move on to the next section, which discusses the recent policy changes and developments in the language policies of these four Southeast Asian countries. So that would be all for my part. Thank you.